Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, and today Flannacan, the High King of Ireland, the successor to Áed Findliath, will attempt to continue to promote the legend of the Red Hand of Ulster. But as you can see in the top, we have very little money. Our forces have kind of gotten back together, but I don't think that Flannacan can let it stand any longer. We are going to need to begin a major raid into the north of England to gather some money. And before we begin that, Flannacan's wife has given him a nickname. Longsword. Big smiley face on her. And so Flannacan Longsword begins his march into Lancaster. We're losing a chunk of money now as a result of raising our forces. Ivar the Boneless has stopped promoting the legend of the Red Hand of Ulster. And we have more anarchy beginning in Scotland. I believe that Flannacan actually has a trait. He has the Reaver trait, if I am correct. Get that out of the way. So raid speed goes up by 100%. And while we would like to take bounteous plunder, unfortunately, because Flannacan is compassionate, it would throw him into the realms of stress. We've taken enough. And on he marches to the capital of Lancaster. I'm not too sure if we'll be able to get a whole heap done before he has to turn around and bring some of this money back, the way that we don't go bankrupt. And we're also most likely going to continue along the coast, so I don't think we'll push in this direction. These guys raided Áed Findliath at one stage, and now we can actually begin to push in to a war-weary Wales. We have 82 gold put together so far. This place contains 26, and you know what? That will be a nice collection of money. And I think with that, we have just managed to stop losing money. I was on the verge of turning the forces around. Start making money right now, or I'm turning this raid around. So I believe that is our Archbishop. Holboyd died after a botched surgery. And more shocking than that, Constantine has somehow managed to replace us as the head of the dynasty. He's not doing great up here. Likely he's actually managed to defeat a rebellion that he was suffering in Fife. I was going to wait there for a moment to see if that would break up and if we could wander in. There's 21 gold there. So just like Áed Findliath, Flannacan is being asked who the story of the Red Hand of Ulster should be directed towards. Áed Findliath said that it was clearly a noble tale. However, Flannacan is more interested that the commoners be celebrated. So this is going to give control growth, which is going to be fantastic for getting the army numbers up, and it's going to lose a tiny amount of stress. I genuinely have no idea how this happened. I thought I cancelled this, but for some reason, Muelmwera is engaged to Finbar, Flanshina's son. So he's 16, she's 41. I have no idea how this happened. I'm going to let this just auto marry. I don't want anything to do with this. Flannacan has managed to take a number of children hostage in the area. Is there good money in children? There's a tenner anyway, at least. No, there isn't good money in children. So Jorvik has just entered the fray. Now this region has been sieged down. I don't actually want to go in there and lose any forces. I think we might be in a position where we're going to have to begin heading back in this direction. So I'm not too sure what Jorvik is going for. Flanshina, you're one weird man. We've gotten a chunk of money together from somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where. Flanshina is looking for more promises to begin promoting the Red Hand of Ulster. I don't think I need him to promote it, but we'll gain stress if we tell him to go away. He wants the Gaelic sword. No, I need that to capture children on my raids. 53% chance if we invest 15 gold. We could also lose opinion with him. I'm not pushed. We lost opinion with him. I'm unimpressed with you marrying your son to a 41-year-old. We have managed to take an 11-year-old baron hostage who will pay 30 quid to get out of our dungeons. Oh, that's where we got all that money from hostages. It's actually been so long since I've gone on any raids that I'd totally forgotten. So we managed to get some ransom money for some of the children that we ransomed out earlier on, and obviously that's where that 45 gold had come from. I'm actually almost at capacity, so I don't think it's worth going in. Do you know what? There's 9 quid there that we forgot to pick up. There's 12 quid there. I think we're actually going to be at capacity by the time that we're finished in this region, so it's not going to make much of a difference. And so as we finish, we have 204 gold on the dot. We already have 108 gold from our hostages that we have returned, so we're going to head back home with all of that moolah. We fell as low as 5 gold on this expedition. Now, before the forces even make it back, I will begin spending some of that money. We do have some forces stationed here. I could increase their damage or toughness. Do you know what? I think I'm just going to go with the gathering halls. So we'll begin building those in Dunvunnagalva, in Ivonia. And Flannacan becomes known for his devotion, his dedication to his faith, just as his son Suvna comes of age. And Suvna was going down the learning lifestyle focus, and is of course betrothed to a foreign countess. So he's become a champion in our court. And we actually have the option to send him away. Off you go. Put a member of the O'Neill family on a foreign throne. And we're up to 241 gold and a chunk of prestige. So we're making 1.1 gold per month, which isn't a huge lot, and we're now going to spend 0.6 of that on appointing a court chronicler to try to spread the legend of the Red Hand abroad. Jacob's good. He's our caravan master. Do we want to be giving him all the jobs? Go on. And commend the legend abroad. We're now going to use this opportunity and the fact that we have gotten our court grandeur up to 1 to hold royal court for the first time in the kingdom's history. So we will gesture for the first to appear. We have 3 petitioners. So first of all, we are visited by an ambassador from the court of Aquitaine demanding the return of one of their subjects who is married to Uraban, our court physician and master of the hunt. We will refuse. Flannacan Longsword is temperate and believes in everything in moderation, so I don't see him becoming a flagellant and accepting that the end is nigh. I don't see him burning the heretic alive and gaining stress. Take this fool out of my sight. It's going to cost us some piety, though. And here is the beautiful but chaste wife of our cousin, Niall. And apparently she is an English spy. We could execute her, but we're compassionate. I forgive once. And so there we have the first court in the history of the Kingdom of Ireland. Áed Findliath was never in a position to actually hold a court. And here is our new Archbishop, Dristan. They got kind of mixed up between about 2 different names and called him Dristan. Thanks for the help, Dristan. So our court has gone up in grandeur by 2. Fabrice of Aquitaine? Fabrice of Aquitaine, if I had boats, oh, so help you God, if I knew how to swim. Because he's given out to us. He's saying the Kingdom of Ireland is surely doomed with such unworthy fools as yourself on the throne. What bitter words are these? Now, having just returned from his raid with a massive pile of gold, Flannacoin is going to make a pilgrimage to Iona, after which he's going to visit the embattled Scottish capital, and then travel down to take a look at Hadrian's Wall and gain some martial lifestyle experience. I've had to hire forthers to get us out of the bogs of Connacht, predominantly. So if I get rid of those, we have a whole heap of trouble. I could decrease the pomp level and save 30 quid. Do you know what? I can't decrease that. We'll just get it in a raid somewhere else, and we're going to go for the reflection intent. I don't think we need to lose stress or anything else. We're predominantly doing this actually just to visit these points of interest. So we have arrived at Iona, and I should have pointed out that this was just a worldly pilgrimage, so not a pious pilgrimage. I have walked the holy path. We still get the pilgrim trait and lose some stress. So you can see there in the top left-hand corner that Jacob is having great fun on the shrines on the Isle of Iona. Too much fun. He wants to stay here. And because we're compassionate, we want to let him. However, he has some fairly solid diplomacy stats. He is our caravan master and our court chronicler and champion. Drop that nonsense immediately. And Jacob has actually become our rival. I don't think this has pushed us into stress territory, has it? No, it hasn't, but it's bringing us quite close, so we're going to have to do something. Do you remember when I said I don't think we need to lose stress? Do you remember that? So Jacob greets me in the morning, and he believes that Donica of Ormond is almost convinced. I don't really care. Everyone is convinced in Ireland. We need to spread it over here. We'll try a diplomacy challenge, which succeeds. Let everyone see the fame of my Gaelic sword. Flannacoin, what are you doing? Put your pants back on. A pilgrim puts down a votive doll before the altar, bowing her head. The abbot makes a gesture. Do you want to bring something to have blessed, my dear High King? Ooh. Here's my wife's favourite longsword. So the Gaelic sword would increase in durability and +2 monthly piety, or plus prestige. We would pay 15 gold, gain a bit of piety. Do you know what? Yeah, sure. Let everyone see the fame of my Gaelic sword. So I quite like that option, because the Gaelic sword is going to become an important artifact passed down through the generations of the family, and the ability to actually change its characteristics is quite cool, because it's just at the moment a basic Gaelic sword. As our time at the sacred site draws to an end, I have missed out on the odd worldly opportunity, but I'm overall happy with the experience. The Inner Hebrides, it has been an honour. So we've also gained some piety, legitimacy, and cultural acceptance. If I am correct, Lachlan and Sayre is somebody who joined us after Flannacoin defeated them in the middle of the road as we were travelling somewhere. And while travelling, Lachlan has fallen in love with... You sure do know how to pick 'em, don't you, Lachlan? So we will have a stress breakdown if we pick any option other than, sure, you can stay here, or we have enough room in our court to welcome both of you. So we have just visited the court in Alba, and that's going to give us, what we have learned there, will give us the ability to pick up strict organisation. We haven't even hit Hadrian's Wall yet. And as we're approaching the wall, we hear some locals nattering about a certain tale as we pass them. Gotthard, the only man in the kingdom who knows how to put holes in walls, tells us that it's a regional story, the legacy of Arthur Pendragon. Nonsense. And so far we are doing very well with the Red Hand of Ulster. We have 15 more baronies for it to spread to. And I think, unless the legend of the grandson of Noah spreads up here fairly rapidly, we should actually manage to do that in Scotland alone. And it's also taken a foothold in Wales, but it's combating against the legend of the grandson of Noah. Now, I'm not too sure what... Is there a kind of a strength? Is there a battle strength? This one has gone up to 135 baronies, so I wonder, does it kind of get weak once it gets to a certain stage? We're just short of the money to upgrade it to the next level if we want to do so, but that's going to cost us a great deal of money, so we're probably going to have to go on another raid once we get Flannacan back into Ireland. Killina, the Craven Mach-Eda, is being attacked by a wolf. And I was going to rescue him until I saw his stats. And then I thought, you know what, we're not going to bother rescuing him. And then I saw that I'll gain some stress. This man deserves my help. It's a 49% chance. And we have managed to save him, gain some prestige, and oh great, we've recruited him to our court. Now, I was getting a bit paranoid there for a moment. Our court physician has just died, and I saw a couple of other people in their pyjamas. So I was getting worried that we were being hit by a plague. But Oroman, who was our physician, has just died, and he was the husband of Elizabetha, who the King of Aquitaine demanded that we return. We don't have anyone that's great. However, Dristan is 28. So he has ample time to pick up some skills. And we have the ability to have him control plagues, go on advanced research, which would increase monthly lifestyle experience, or get some piety for us. I think we're A-okay at the moment, and those extra tasks would be quite pricey. I didn't actually realize that we had a lot of extra tasks. Okay, we've two. We've extra tasks for 2 jobs. Our court poet and musician can also extol our legends. I think that's about it. A garden hermit. We can just get a garden hermit and have him out there, just scurrying in and out of bushes and things. And in terms of the court poet, we do actually have a Welsh courtier, Kira, who'll cost 0.06 per month. So we have 0.8. They're excellent. And they have the poet position. So do you know what? I'm going to appoint them to be Court Poet of Ireland. Flannacan has just arrived back home and he's off again. We've been invited to a hunt by Donal, who succeeded his father, Áed Findliath, as the ruler of Ulster. So we're going to join that hunt. We still need the forders to get us out of Connacht. And you know what? It is a good bit of money. But I'm going to have Kira extol the legend of the Red Hand of Ulster, to commend the legend abroad and see if we can push and get the last few places needed. We haven't seen any increase now in a while. And see if we can get the last few places needed, and we can start getting the money together to actually promote that legend. Oh, all these people that we find on the road. Owen the Heartless Barry, the Metal Man. So we save him. We will get stress if we do anything other than have him join our court and become our personal champion, even though, do you know what, he's not very good. Now, another major issue that we have with Owen Barry is that he is chaste. But you know what? I'm going to have him marry poor old Elizabetha, who has just been widowed. So we have arrived in time for the hunt. There isn't a huge guest list. It's ourselves, Chieftain Leabhra of Ossory, Donal the Foyle of Connacht, Flann Shinna of Meath. How's your How's your daughter-in-law that's nearly the same age as you? How's that going? You weirdo. So I believe Áed Findliath made a fool of himself when he was on a hunt and tried to grab a fish for himself. Flanacon is going to make no such mistakes. It's a 53% chance to succeed and gain some reputation with Flanchina. And we did indeed fail. So we're looking here predominantly at learning and stewardship challenges, which we're not the strongest at. We have managed to gain a bit of prestige. And it's not looking great. This lad's after getting his face cut up by a hawk. So after hours of attempts, the game have all disappeared. The hawk is near exhausted, and the light is fading. A shame. So we've gained 187 prestige. I don't think we lost any stress. But we have managed to gain some skills as a hunter. So we will finish the hunt and return back home through the bogs of Connacht. And as Flanacon arrives home, he receives news that Ivar the Boneless has sailed his forces out of Dublin and is campaigning in England. And surely Flanacon cannot pass up this opportunity to strike at the Vikings and take back some of the prestige lost by Áed Findliath after his capture. And you know what? We don't actually have a lot of money in here, but it's more the principle of the matter. Now we can see that Donald of Oil has stopped promoting our legend. I wonder, will Ivar the Boneless stop promoting our legend? We have the run of vast tracts of land and many of the quivering subjects and shining treasures of High Chieftain Ivar to choose from. Bounteous plunder would give him 22 stress. Now it's one thing to be compassionate, but it's another thing to be compassionate to the Vikings. Bring me bounteous plunder. Now while I would love to move north into Scotland and try and hit Hastings, we don't really have the numbers to take on Ivar if he turns around and heads for us. So I think we're going to come in here to Galway and try and take a small bit of money and then pull back into Ireland again. Jarl Ragnar of Lancaster is almost convinced of the veracity of the Red Hand of Ulster. No doubt because we hit them, if I am correct. No doubt we raided them the last time round. We could try and persuade him. Doesn't look like that's going to work. We'd lose some prestige. Do you know what? We'll give it a go. And he has indeed started promoting our legend. Possibly after hearing of our dramatic attack on Dublin. So we have here beside us an army from Dunbar. We're going to hit the area that has the most money. If it wasn't for the fact that Flanacon has become at 55 years of age, that long sword can't help him now. A prisoner in his own body. How long will I have to wait? And should anything happen to Flanacon, should he die, at the moment there is near total agreement that Donald of Oil, son of Áed Findliath, Áed the Righteous, will become the new High King of Ireland. Flanacon is going to momentarily step aside from commanding the army. It's going to be handed over to this dude. I have no idea where he came from, but I'm not going to complain with stats like that. And he's going to be sent in here instead of losing the 100 troops by moving up in this direction, because Flanacon, now that he is in ill health, is determined to continue the raid north. He has received news that the battle has begun to turn against the Viking forces, fighting England, and he sees in this an opportunity to push north. I still don't think we're making it as far north as Hastings, but we'll try. So it's not exactly a major engagement, but it's one of the first battles that the Irish have taken part in a while. Here is our cousin and champion, Ulgarg. Has had a daughter, Etain. And we can revert control to the Reaver-in-Chief, even though Owen the Merciful could have command as well, if anything happens. And we'll at least head for Argyll, maybe even the capital, and across into Ulster. So this is what passes for a marshal in Ayrshire. We have also, however, taken the very young Moormere captive. 50 quid. And in fact, now some worrying news has actually arrived. The battle is turning so poorly against the Vikings that it's entirely possible that their assault could collapse. And as such, instead of wasting too much time, we're going to head straight for the Inner Hebrides and siege down their capital. Because we do not want to be caught here if all of a sudden that war comes to an end and they march their potentially close to 3,500 troops north. So here is poor Henri in Leinster. We could try to persuade him, I don't think it's going to go very well, to promote our legend. He remains unconvinced, and we're being told of a plague spreading nearby. Hopefully no Vikings bring that back with them on their shoes. And so Flannacoin begins an assault on the Viking capital. This is a great day and a great achievement for him. Has managed to take Rouen, a guest of Ivar the Boneless's hostage. Stewardship isn't bad. Prowess isn't great. He's of the Ivrian Brefni, though. Now, not alone is the battle beginning to swing again in favour, moderately, of the Vikings. They are, however, losing a tremendous amount of their forces. But we have received news that Ivar the Boneless is on the verge of death. And I'm not too sure what will happen in the Isles when that occurs. It's entirely possible that it won't split apart, but that it will severely weaken whoever it is that succeeds him. So this guy at the moment has 300 forces. That will expand when he takes the Isles. You can see here that Flannacoin has dropped off the gold and the prestige earned on his raids and had pushed back out into Scotland with intentions on heading for Inverness. However, the Viking forces are being raised in the Inner Hebrides, and it's entirely possible that they're going to seek revenge and that they're going to move on Ulster. So what we're going to do is pull back, see what they're doing. They might be heading to try and take part in this war in England. We're going to pull back and try and establish something resembling a defensive line. And what bad timing! We have received news that Ivar the Boneless is dead. He has drank himself to death. The Isles has actually split apart. Now, unfortunately, the Isles, which controls Dublin, is still quite strong. I'm not too sure if he'll be able to maintain that army after it stands down. But we have seen a massive division. The Isle of Man is not actually all that strong, though. Once again, we're going to have Flannacoin step aside in favour of a Viking defender and aggressive attacker. And I don't think we have much of an option but to remain where we are and hope that the 5% defender advantage will be of some use to us if these devils decide to cross across. And it looks like they're going to, and it looks like we might have a bit of an advantage. I'm going to pause very quickly and see if we can actually get anything that might be of assistance to us. Does control territory defender advantage work against raids? I'm going to be going down this route anyway, so do you know what? We'll unlock it. We're defending a straight crossing, defending in hills, better army commander, better commander traits, and higher quality. I don't actually think that that trait has come in that we just picked up. We're going to have one of our largest engagements. It doesn't look like they have a commander. And it has been an utter annihilation of the Viking forces, which we were totally unprepared for. I think it would be unwise for us to try and follow this up by chasing them down. It does have to be said, though, a stunning victory, and look at, for all the numbers they had, look at the depleted forces in terms of knights that the Isles had to send in. Surely the great knights of Ivar the Boneless, the great Viking warriors, have been split between the Isle of Man, the great Kingdom of Man, and the new Rump Isles. And here, our great forces. Look at this. Look at this for damage. Even down at the bottom, men who have no idea which end of a sword they're supposed to hold onto. Look at this for work that they did. So we can see here in the middle of England, this plague is continuing to expand, which causes consumption. And the war between England and Jorvik has ended most likely as a result of the death of Sigurd from consumption, as a result of that plague on the 14th of December, 895, and that was the reason why the Isles raised its forces and moved against Ireland to take revenge for the raids that we've been conducting. I'm going to keep the army standing for another month, just to see what happens, but most likely this is our campaign into Scotland over for now. I actually also didn't realise that Galloway and Lothian have also split off. The whole thing has split apart. And now I've also just realised we've only spread the red hand of Ulsterism, I was going to say insularism, the red hand of Ulsterism, to 2 extra baronies. The text is very weirdly aligned, considering it should be aligned here. Because this is also... Wait a minute. This isn't where the red hand of Ulster is, so... Let's see if we can actually get back again. This is the only part of the country. Now it's showing up properly. Because it was the same colour, I was getting confused. So these green areas, these are the only ones which the red hand of Ulster has spread to. We have not actually spread into Wales, but I'm a bit more confident now that we will be able to keep it going in this region, and we should get the extra 13 counties that we need. And hopefully, now that this area has broken up a bit, we have more rulers. We were dependent on one guy in Dublin for most of this region. Now there's multiple rulers who will start and stop promoting the legend. And though infirm and old of age as a result of his stunning raid, a dramatic and risky action with massive amounts of Viking forces prepared to jump on him at a moment's notice, the fact that Flannacoin was prepared to risk an attack on Dublin and a push into the territory of the Isles, he is now regarded as a raider par excellence. So 2 martial, 3 prowess, and extra monthly prestige. Let them weep at my name. Let them weep indeed. We can see that already the wars have broken out amongst the weakened and fractured Viking powers, and yet again, Flannacoin will raise his armies and prepare to conduct another major raid into Scotland, this time with nothing to stop him. And so we begin our attack into the Isles. Quite a lot of the region, it hasn't been raided down, but it's just bankrupt. The Isle of Man is a bit too far away, but you know where we're heading for. You know what we're going to do. We're going to lose some troops by bringing them in this direction. No, we're not. And we can see there is the Isle of Man's forces at about 1,300 strong. Or not the Isle of Man, but the Isles. And now we begin to hit the territory of Hasteen. Here is Moeldov. His struggles are calming. And we have captured somebody. Galloway is particularly weak now at the moment. Under the rule of their young chieftain, we effectively have a border with it. And possibly, in an attempt to keep us from thinking about seizing it, the young chieftain has begun to promote the legend of the Red Hand of Ulster. Let's see who is in our prisons. Brocoin is some interesting traits. Oh, I didn't spot that. And this guy is not so great, and I don't believe... I didn't think he'd have money for us, but he does. Hastine can get some extra money together. Yeah, you can stay here until Hastine, until your dad gets some money together. Do you know what? I might have a bucket full of rats somewhere around here. As for you, we'll negotiate your release. It would, of course, be glorious if we managed to take Hastine himself. We've taken a bishop. And here we see some forces are raiding, so Man is getting hit pretty badly. I don't know if we want to wander down in this direction. We have reduced the entirety of the Viking holdings to ruins, at least the Viking holdings that have some money. Look at this for anarchy and chaos, and Galloway, of course, is being raided down by the Isles. Dublin, I presume, is still actually suffering the after effects of our last raid, so we haven't gotten much money together, but most certainly the capture of Hastine's son. That is a tremendous propaganda and prestige boost. We will return to Ulster. So we're seeing that camp fever has hit Limnock, and I believe has hit Dunanaul. Alfred of England has died of consumption. And we're beginning to see quite a lot of things happening. We have arrived back with our loot. We will disband our army. And we'll take a look at what's going on. So typhus has hit the swamps, the bogs of Connacht up into Dunanaul, and hit Limnock first of all, and has started to move up in this direction. It hasn't claimed any fatalities as yet. And I think as a result of his advanced age and his ill health, Flannacan will have no other alternative but to enter seclusion on his return from his greatest achievement, his push into the north of Scotland, where he took revenge on Hastine by capturing his son. We will enter seclusion. So he has been carried far away from the stink of the capital's heart, late at night. He's lost 20 legitimacy. Lock the door. And I don't think there's been much of an advance on his legitimacy. He's still below what is expected. I don't think he's gained or lost much since the last time I checked this. Is he still suffering that short range duration? That's unlikely. So we've gone into seclusion to avoid the plague, into seclusion with all these people. We should see the kind of the paintings or the drawings on the ground that say to maintain 2-meter distance between everyone. Hopefully they'll get put down at some stage. And this guy, Ricardo, instead of going into seclusion, wants to go to Eastern Europe. How much will it cost? 183 gold to send this lad off to Eastern Europe. When the Kingdom of Ireland has reached a stage where it can consider such a flahoolach waste of money, that is truly the height of Flannacan's achievement. The fact that, yeah, we will send this man for 183 gold off to Eastern Europe. Far from the days of Áed Findliath looking behind the back of every couch, trying to find as much money as he could to ransom himself out of the dungeons of Hastine. Far from those days are we now. Ricardo wishes to know what we want from his trip to the shops, I think we're going to trust his instincts to bring us something truly great. And what I wanted to do, I don't think it's changed. There was a 10% chance to change a chapter in the Legend of the Red Hand of Ulster, but we can see that the story has changed a good chunk since I looked at it last. So we can see that High King Áed of Ireland was ambushed and harassed time and again by evildoers that sought to prevent him in his righteous quest. Time and again, however, the resourceful Áed outwitted them and escaped their clutches. Could that be a reference to his capture in the dungeons of Hastings? So it has changed a small bit. We've gotten one more barony. We are up to 9 promoters, however, but only, well, 3 of them are outside of Ireland in Scotland, in the former territory of the Isles, what the Isles has now fractured into. Do you remember when I said that Dristan was going to have years and years and years with which to gain experience as our court physician? Do you remember that? We've also received news that our cousin and the heir to the Kingdom of Ireland, Donald Bovoil, has fallen ill with typhus. This is an enemy I cannot protect him from. And here is the new Archbishop of Ireland, Rory, an insular Norse with lover's pox. I'm beginning to miss Dristan. And we're receiving some pretty bad news as we try to find somebody to succeed Dristan. Gotthard, our great champion, a great man for putting holes in walls, is dying, as is the great commander of our victory over the Vikings in Ulster. So, by the looks of it, Flartuch, our uncle and acclaimed knight, the holder of the Red Branch Knight, by the looks of it, he's dying. Ruan, who I captured, I believe, and forced him to join our court, captured him in Scotland, he's dying. Well, Dove, Beatrice is dying. Who else have we? That's the list of everyone who's on the way out as of right now. So yeah, Selvla, you're not great, but you're also not dying. It's gonna cost us. It's actually gonna put us into debt. But do you know what? First day on the job, we'll have to have Selvla increase resistance to camp fever. So camp fever has devastated the capital of Ivonia. We have lost 20 legitimacy. And the accolade loses a rank. Is this possibly? Because it is indeed. So I believe our cousin, Flartuch, has died. So he has indeed, and there is a new Red Branch Knight, Cullum Line, who I basically recruited and who is also dying, I believe. He's not dying, but he does have typhus. And we're not in a position to appoint a successor at the moment. So this plague did not look the worst when it struck first of all. It has claimed 26 fatalities. And it has struck a bit too close for comfort to the family of the High King. Well, our Archbishop is dead. As is our heir, Donald of Oil. The future of Ireland has changed its course with his death. He was re-downa, royal material. We will never know what kind of a High King he would have become, or if his death is a blessing or a curse on the kingdom. So we've gained 25 stress, and our heir has died. And he stopped promoting our legend. Donal. So the good news, at least, is that Gotthard and our great commander are on the mend. They're no longer dying. But we don't have any great diplomacy figures to take over from Donal. Rory, the Norse archbishop, has also died and has been replaced with Alva. Gotthard, go on. I think he's held a couple of positions now at this stage. Now, this has actually cast the succession for the High Kingship into a bit of a crisis, because we don't have any great candidate, any kind of standout candidate as yet. And no landed candidates are being backed, bar Flanchina, but he's 50 and weird. So what I think I'm going to do is support Rodoin. Solid marshal. He's brave, stubborn, patient. He's going to inherit something from his father, Chieftain Donal. So on our death, he'll inherit this county instead of our son. And our son, of course, is out in a foreign court and will, hopefully, his son will one day inherit out there. So do you know what? We will support Rodoin, wherever he's after going to. For Rodoin, where are you? We will support Rodoin. And that has, if I am correct, installed him as the most likely next High King of Ireland. And it doesn't look like we have much of an opportunity to be weighing up our options when it comes to the succession of the High Kingship. We've heard stories about brave soldiers dying like flies before they even set foot on the battlefield, but me, a High King, this aching, feverish nightmare, is not a fate meant for me. And here is our utterly unskilled court physician. Oh, Dristan, if only we had you now by our side. Is he dying? He is indeed. Do no more than is necessary. And you know what? We're feeling a bit brighter. We're still dying, though. High King Flannican of Ireland has found peace in Christ's embrace at 57 years of age. He died of typhus. One of the best fighters of his age, he was unrivaled in hand-to-hand combat, and for all the wealth that he was able to put together, he never had an opportunity to take part in a tournament, even though he was invited to one. At the court of Hasteen, High King Rodoin ascends to the throne. Having mastered many skills, he is sure to be admired by his subjects. Rodoin, why are you dressed like that? Let's see what's after happening. So we've inherited the Kingdom of Ireland, and we've gotten the Earldom of Thomond, so it's kind of throwing us all around the place. Tanistry's weird, especially in Ireland, where it's tiny. We're heirs to the Chiefdom of Ulster, which is going to create havoc. If we end up taking Ulster, then I'll give Thomond back to whoever's ruling in Munster at the time. So this lad has indeed actually taken Ivonia. I wasn't expecting that. He hates me. So Áed Findliath ruled for 22 years. Flannican only ruled for 9, but what an amazing career he had. We had, at our very lowest point, we had 5 gold as he began one of his raids, or as he was halfway through the raid into Wales, and at the end of his career, or at one stage, he had 420 gold. So an incredible career. Attended one hunt, hosted a hunt and a pilgrimage. Finished the gallantry, which I think was done before he came to power. He was a devoted servant. He was distinguished, so he didn't get an opportunity to make his name as well known as that of Áed Findliath. He was the cultural head and died of typhus. Continue as High King Rohan. I'm going to have to verify how to pronounce his name. I'm not too sure. Is it Rowan or Rodoin? He's already started down the Gallant tree, which is fantastic. And you know what? Let's just take a look again. So he's patient, he's stubborn, and he's brave. Finally, we have somebody that will execute a Viking if he gets him in his grasp. What'll we give him? I think we'll go for authority focus for now to try and keep some bit of control over this mess. So here's Suvna, who's after becoming the new chieftain of Evonia, and his wife, the Countess of Shalon. They don't have a child yet. I might have to make him a vassal of Connacht, but I don't think we need to worry for a while, because he's 7. Right, we need to appoint a council. And of course we also need to focus. Do you know what? Look, we're going to have to give our father something. He's the best steward in the kingdom. And if he doesn't get a job, it's going to be very awkward at Christmas. So we'll have to give him something, and we'll appoint a marshal. And it looks like Owen, who we've just taken a county off of. Sorry, Owen. Ricardo, what are you doing here in the court? You should be out. You're off. Yeah, there you go. You're located somewhere else. Lachlan and Sayer is dying. How is everybody else's health? Ricardo, you don't want a job at the moment. You want to stay out wherever you are. So, Chieftain Owen will become the new marshal. Does anybody remember when I said that Suvna would most likely never become High King? Well, he's one of the preferred candidates at the moment. There's Finbar. So there's Suvna. There's Cunla. It's a lot of the same names as the last time round. We're not making a 5-year-old High King of Ireland. Or a 50-year-old. For now, for the fun of it, we're going to back Suvna. Because if we do die in the next couple of years from the plague, then surely somebody who has the support of God has a better chance of surviving, maybe. Rodoin is in a position to organise his own marriage, and he's going to go for one that's going to bring him a good chunk of prestige, more so than an alliance. Here is the mother of the current Duchess of Kent, Ava, the Princess of Aquitaine. So, our predecessor had some problems with Aquitaine, not many. We will send that proposal. We won't go organising a grand wedding in the midst of a plague. She has solid martial, and she's brave. We're beginning to see people recover from typhus, and considering that our legitimacy is fairly low, I don't think Rodoin can risk going into seclusion, and also, considering he's brave, I think he's going to try and tough it out. And so finally, as a devastating plague runs riot in the Kingdom of Ireland, and as our forces have been depleted, which means that some of the Viking groups in Scotland might think about taking revenge for the bullying that we've given them recently. But Rodoin is going to take upon himself the task of promoting the legend of the Red Hand of Ulster, his grandfather, Áed Findliath. So we have 92 baronies. There's only 8 baronies left, and surely Alba will start to spread the legend. Jacob is still there, pushing it abroad, and I think we also have our court poet commending the legend abroad. So it has knocked us down to -3 per month. That's on top of the physician that's doing a bit of work. Do you know what? I think we might be able to put them on regular duties just to keep the money stable for now until we can maybe get the forces up a bit more. They've actually recovered a small bit in the last couple of minutes just by taking on the legend of the Red Hand of Ulster. Look at that already. It is paying dividends. Thank you for joining me. on this episode. Thank you for paying your respects to Flanacone. And if you decide to join me on the next episode, please wear a face mask and stay 2 meters away from me at all times.